Good morning, everyone. I hope this video finds you in best health and spirits. Okay, I hope you're all doing good today. And the topic and title of this video is Message to Upcoming Researchers, Scientists, and Intellectuals in India and Elsewhere. Okay, this is an extremely important video, and this is aligned closely, carefully with my previous videos and previous papers, previous blog posts as well. Okay, let us begin by this video by discussing what the characteristics of a successful scientist are. Okay, a successful scientist, if he wants to be successful in this field of profession, needs specific key skills, important skills, set of skills. These must be in combination, found in combination with each other, must be aligned with each other holistically. Okay, he needs a blend of intellectual curiosity, analytical thinking skills, dedication, commitment to the cause of science for the country if necessary, along with strong communicative and collaborative abilities. He also needs to have a strong commitment to ethical conduct, and he also needs to be non-biased, non-prejudiced, and open-minded. Okay, if you see intellectual and cognitive skills, there are a large number of intellectual cognitive skills that need to be borne in mind. The first thing is curiosity and passion. Okay, he needs to understand the world. Driving unabated passion to understand the world. Analytical skills he needs to examine data, analyze data, okay, patterns, discover patterns in data, and draw logical conclusions inductively or deductively. Needs to possess and have numerical skills, and he also may have to have skills with respect to qualitative research or quantitative research, statistical skills. Okay, I have discussed quantitative, qualitative research repeatedly. Statistical skills also. Okay, you need to have quantification techniques, etc., data gathering, collection, analytical skills, etc. You need to have problem solving skills and abilities. You need to develop hypotheses, and you need to have experiments. Okay, design experiments, quasi design experiments. I've discussed all these test of design, all these things you need to have in place. Okay, I've discussed all these previously. You need to follow proper scientific method. Okay, he needs to have creativity and imagination, ability to think out of the box, envision new possibilities, come up with innovation solutions on the fly wherever necessary. He needs to have attention to detail. He needs to have critical thinking. He needs to have open mindedness and objectivity. He needs to have persilience and persistence and resilience. He needs to be dedicated to the cause of science, to society, to serve science and society better. Okay, he needs strong interpersonal communication skills. He needs focus, passion, dedication, sincerity, hard work. Okay, he also needs humility, adaptability, and flexibility. These will stand him in very good stead always. Okay, and this applies to intellectuals also. What exactly is an intellectual? An intellectual is an individual or a person who engages in critical thinking, research, and reflection about society and proposes solutions for his betterment. He's often well read and erudite, and he also enjoys discussing complex ideas. They may also be nerds sometimes, and they may be misfits. They may be bores and they may be social misfits, but so be it. Work requires different types of people. And what are the characteristics that define an individual? First thing is strong focus on ideas, ability to create and generate ideas. This is known as ideation, critical thinking, innovation and creativity, engagement with society, diverse wisdom and foresight. Foresight is also very important. Need to have strategizing, this ability to think long term. Okay, say 10, 20, 30, 40 years in the future, and discovering vistas and horizons that people have not fathomed or not grappled with before. It's not just raw intelligence, but you need a combination of all these factors. Okay, and intellectuals are of many different types and colors. You have academics, writers, poets, activists, artists, policymakers. All these professions require intellectualism to a large degree. Apart from mundane run-of-the-mill approaches, like even if you're designing a software, a business analyst needs to have some amount of creativity and some amount of intellectualism. Also, the role of intelligence here is very limited. Okay, let us now see the intellectuals also must possess all the qualities of a scientist or researcher. Now, let us analyze the types of intellectuals. Intellectuals can be broadly categorized into traditional or organic intellectuals, with traditional intellectuals often seen as detached from any specific social class, while organic intellectuals emerge from a particular class and articulate the interests of that particular class. This distinction, important distinction, was provided by Antonio Gramsci, is a noted Italian Marxist philosopher. Okay, we may not agree with all of his ideas, but seems to be more meaningful. For example, Ambedkar articulated the problems of his own class, that it's of oppressed people. And we also have public intellectuals and private intellectuals. Public intellectuals serve the cause of society. Private intellectuals they dabble in esoteric pursuits. Okay, and we also have concept of thought leadership. A thought leader has been described as a individual or a firm who is recognized as an authority in a specific or given field. A thought leader is a person who specializes in given area, at whom others in that industry are to turn to guidance. Okay, a thought leader leads others in thinking around the topic. He generates new concepts, generates new ideas. Okay, and the characteristics of thought leaders similar to that of a research, however, requires more strategic and visionary skills. Okay, this type of vision is used in figurative sense. It means the ability to think a plan for the future with imagination and wisdom. He needs foresight, strategy. Okay, and he needs to have important critical thinking skills like open-mindedness, logical reasoning, communication, analysis, asking questions, problem solving, logical reasoning, creative thinking, open-mindedness, asking questions like who, what, where, when, how, etc. Analyzing and critically evaluating concepts, use writing to build critical thinking skills. Okay, he also needs to have lateral thinking skills. Okay, lateral thinking skills is a way of thinking that involves creative and unconventional approaches to problem solving. This can help come up with innovative solutions that are not obviously obvious to other people. As a part of lateral thinking, you need to be able to challenge assumptions, keep on asking questions, consider alternative and different perspectives, reverse think. Okay, reverse thinking means flip the challenge on its head by asking yourself what you did by trying to do the opposite of what you did. Instead of increasing something, you try to decrease something. Okay, and lateral thinking is very useful for increasing adaptivity and innovation. It helps teams imagine previously unimaginable and sets up apart from the competition. It can help people uncover approaches and solutions that will not be uh, immediately apparent. You also have out of the box thinking. Here, you need to think completely creatively and differently. Differently, you need to take risks, share ideas, be reflexive, be open, work backwards, ask questions, learn new things, adjust your requirement. Yes, keep on doing mental exercises on the fly. Say no to dogma, intransigence, religious based thinking, religious inspired thinking, culture based thinking, culture specific thinking. All cultures have their own plus and minus points. I have discussed this previously. I have spoken of cultural orientation and mind orientation. Okay, bane of Indian researchers is still they have not got fully outside the manacles of religion. Okay, this spans across all religious groups, and particularly I have noticed this among Hindutva people, and Muslim people are much worse. They are also rather conservative. They have no scientific. They just are asked to memorize the Quran or some other text. Okay, no run of the mill approaches, no diet in the will approaches must be adopted. Not stayed approaches must be adopted. People must step outside the comfort zone. They must hone their skills and talents. They must be prepared to deal with real world issues with complexity. They need to possess accuracy, precision, certitude, exactitude, etc. Wherever this cannot be pursued, verisimilitude can be followed. Control process is required. This is somewhat different from Karl Popper's ideas. I beg to differ with him fully. We need interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary models and approaches. Okay, so people should also say no to buzzwords. This is very important. Like what Isro is doing, a buzzword is a term that is unnaturally popular. It's typically popular only for short period of time. For example, around 20 years ago, I came across the term service-oriented architecture, which faded away. Okay, it didn't withstand the test of time. So be different from the crowd, get off the beaten track, specialize in foundational research, specialize in scientific method. Even ISRO does what others do. It does not get into something completely different and new. For example, we don't India doesn't discover extrasolar planets. Okay, Soviets were revolutionary and path breaking around 50 years ago. They landed um, satellites on a very inhospitable and barren planet, Venus. Okay, you need to emphasize on foundational competencies. Scientific method, of course, must be done, but scientific method itself needs a role. Here, we need critical thinking. I've published 35 papers on scientific method. Read all of them. I've written about the sociological 90-10 rules, certainty and certainty principle, cross-cultural research design. Also, read my paper, Revolutionizing Scientific Method: How Revamping Scientific Method Will Catapult the quality and quantum of scientific output to now together new trajectory. Also read my paper on advocating output driven criteria. Okay. And scholars, researchers, and scientists must dedicate themselves, throw themselves headlong into the service of science, service to society, service to the education system, how to improve the education system, etc. Use of AI, etc. Honesty, intellectual honesty, no waywardness. Okay. Like we example, we have dedication, objectivity, and holism. We need to have self-contained scholarship and holistic scholarship. Okay. And we need to have objectivity in mindset and objective. I've written about objectivity and objectivity in mindset. Where even though it is not possible to follow objectivity all the time, we need to have an objective mindset. Okay. For example, Hindutva people are mildly critical of Gandhi or Ambedkar, some of them. There should not be any sensationalism. Don't talk big, innovate more. Okay. Innovation is defined as a process of bringing about new ideas, method, products, services, solutions that have a significant positive impact and value, and keep inventing more. Invention is the act of inventing something, typically the process of servicing. For example, we have invention of the motor car, ideate more, the process of generating new and novel ideas. Okay, for example, Shiva Yadure claimed to have invented the email, but a lot of people have cast aspersions and doubts on this. We still have a lot of big talk in India, maybe because of an inferiority complex. This will change as and when we have proper credentials to serve. India is number four in scientific publications as of 1920. This is quite impressive. However, it lags in quality, and for not in top tier publications, we don't produce that many papers. Lags in citations. We're still ninth in citations. We still have Eurocentrism that is particularly relevant to social sciences. Must be got it up. Indian social science researchers and non-social science researchers must play a major role here. And again, don't get into only three or four scientific disciplines. Try to get into social sciences, psychology, philosophy. Indians can play a major role, and so can people from other developing countries. They can come up with novel solutions, out of the box solutions, and slightly different solutions. Okay, so it's not going to be all hunky dory. You have Indocentrism, Xenocentrism, Afrocentrism to a very, very small extent. You also have vested interest. Be prepared to deal with vested interest, conflict interest, of interest. Be prepared to deal with cynicism. You must succeed against all odds. Don't expect a golden bouquet of flowers to on your head. A vested interest is a personal gain for or involvement for of an undertaking or solution, especially an expectation of financial or other gain. Conflict of interest. A conflict of interest is a situation in which a person is or organization is involved against multiple interests, financial or otherwise. Serving more than one interest could involve working against another. For example, for those of you who read YouTube, follow YouTube channels, Mr. Hunzi is completely against India. Unpaid Insights completely against India. Eastern Dawn completely against India. Simon Blackwell completely against India. Okay, this may be true because we have not spread our wings widely and we don't indulge in many different things. Okay, but time has come to bring about a change. Only the younger generation can bring about a change. Okay, we need to have innovative thinking paradigms. I have written about trees, theory of conscience, etc. Eliyahu Goldratt and Ashtulas trees. He was a Soviet researcher, and try to understand social and cultural problems and work accordingly. Understand social and cultural bottlenecks also. I have written about how to identify social and cultural bottlenecks in a previous paper. Please read that paper also. It was published several months ago. And also read about how about the paper propounding structured innovative thinking for social sciences research. How this can be a game changer for social sciences research. I published this several months ago. And problems in India are lack of scientific network, poor quality education, problems in non-Western societies, insensitive to the needs of the developing world, examining assumptions from scratch. This needs to be done. We need to have horizontal as well as vertical collaboration. Horizontal collaboration means a collaboration among equals, like between developing countries. Vertical collaborations involves the transfer of know-how knowledge, say between Germany and India or some other developed country in India. We need to have cross-cultural design, research design. I've written about it, including dialectical approach, interdisciplinary approaches, which deal with more than one branch of knowledge, often very diverse branches of knowledge. That's why transdisciplinary approaches is very, very wide, wider in scope than interdisciplinary. Indians' mind orientation is somewhat more spiritual or past oriented, past centric or spiritual or religious oriented. This must change. I have written about this in a previous paper. Three, four previous papers I have dealt with this in a great level of depth. India's minor orientation also must be changed to be make it more scientific, and cultural orientation also must be changed to make it more scientific. And scientific approaches to history must be adopted. Modulation of religion must be done. Better pedagogical methods, inculcation of scientific method, better scientific method. That is why, before I conclude this video, I would like to say, let a million intellectuals bloom, let a million scholars bloom, let a million scientists bloom, let a million thinkers bloom. We need a scientific awareness everywhere, particularly in developing countries such as India and other developing countries. Create a culture of science that is sorely lacking today. Previous people are obsessed with cinema stars, cricketers. Now, this obsession has reigned supreme on national and social media. Therefore, the next generation of scholars, intellectuals, and makers must change all this. And we must create a culture of science. There is no culture of science in India. For this, we need scientific passion, ethics, collaboration, openness, interdisciplinarity, etc. And we need to make science the next big thing in India and other developing countries. With this, I conclude my video. Thank you very much.